want us to go right now to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and take a look at what's going on with Kalen DeBoer. Now, with Kalen DeBoer, there is good news and there is bad news. Obviously, Nick Saban retires, and whenever the greatest of all time retires, he's probably a big reason why a lot of those kids committed to that school. So the bad news is, with that retirement, you had a lot of kids that were just like, hey, coach, you might be awesome. You might be a great head coach. You guys might do great things here. But I came here for Nick Saban. Nick Saban's not here anymore. Therefore, I am not here anymore. You lost almost 30 guys to the transfer portal. That's the bad news. Now, the good news is Alabama across their roster was built pretty solid. And when I say pretty solid, I mean like Nick Saban had stacked that thing with top 2 recruiting classes. So, yes, you lost some guys, but you also have a lot of talented guys that stayed. So the cupboard isn't empty, but it's definitely a little bit more thin than it was previously. But with what I was saying, still some talent on campus. Probably most importantly, or one of the most important pieces, Jalen Milroe is staying. He's going to be there. The mission this year for Kalen DeBoer, what's success, right? That's going to be the thing you hear a lot of at SEC Media Days and when people break down Alabama in their way too early predictions. What is success for Kalen DeBoer? What's a win total? I don't have a win total for you, but I think the mission for Kalen DeBoer is to stabilize the optics. Okay, stabilizing the optics. What does that mean? Essentially, it means that everybody that's holding their breath and in wait-and-see mode about Alabama, just reassure them this year. I told you I wasn't going to give you a win total, but I think if you're anywhere 10 wins or more, that would stabilize the optics. Now, the other good news that's probably married to that is the fact that this year in college football, I think you will see the least amount of drama in the regular season. Now, I'm not saying it won't have drama in the sense that it won't be entertaining or that we won't watch every single game or that every single game won't have a massive impact. But I do think with the way that this expanded playoff is situated, you could lose 2 different football games and still find your way in the national championship game. You get hot at the right time in that 12-team format, you're good to go. So all I'm saying is, like, if Kalen DeBoer loses to Georgia in that game in late September, previously, that would have meant, oh, well, is Alabama going to make the playoff? They don't control their own destiny now. Like, what's going to happen to them? Now it's like, man, Alabama can't lose another one. That's a bad loss. Yes, that's not good for Alabama to drop a game, especially in the regular season, but the consequences of that are a little bit watered down by nature of the regular season and how it sits now. So, with that being the case, I think there is a little bit of margin for error for Kalen DeBoer. Now, error isn't something they're accustomed to in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but still, I think it needs to be on the record that is, in my mind, playing in his favor in year one. I would also say when it comes to stabilizing optics, winning creates belief on the recruiting trail. Because you hear a lot of different, reports from guys in their recruitment, and you ask them about Alabama. The sentiment across the board, the majority seems to feel like we're in wait-and-see mode with the new Alabama. And so if Alabama is able to, just what I said, have a solid season this year and stabilize the optics on the field, that recreates the belief that, okay, Alabama's still Alabama. Yes, Nick Saban's not there anymore, but still, Alabama's one of the premier institutions, one of the premier brands in this sport. I'll go commit to Alabama. I'm not saying they recruit at the top level every single year, but I do think being in that top 5 range and winning probably go hand in hand. Now, here's what I would say, too. Kalen DeBoer can coach. Like, say what you want about him as a recruiter. That's the big question everyone has. It's the big question I have. Landing Ryan Williams was a very nice start to their class they have right now. But Kalen DeBoer is 104-12 as a head coach. Say what you want about what level that was at. If you win 104 out of 116 football games, I don't care if it's Pop Warner. I don't care if it's NAIA. I don't care if it's in the Pac-12, SEC, Big 12, Big 10. It doesn't matter to me. ACC doesn't matter. You win that many games as a head coach and lose that many games, again, 104-12, you're a good football coach. So Kalen DeBoer, if they can get the right talent on that roster, that again, I think is very much so tied to having success on the field this year, they're going to be okay. Kalen DeBoer is a really freaking good football coach. Jesse Simonton released his top 10 coaches. Jesse Simonton's a phenomenal columnist for us here at On 3. He released his top 10 coaches right now in college football. We might do the same thing at some point in time. He has Kalen DeBoer in that top 5 range. Yeah, Kalen DeBoer can coach some football. Now, when it comes to the immediate future, before they even play a football game, what does he have to do? There's the obvious of establish your culture, create buy-in, build things the right way behind closed doors during winter conditioning and spring football. That's all true. But from a more action step side of things, something that we will see, I think Kalen DeBoer and Alabama need to go on offense in the portal. Hey, that's fine. We kind of took our licks in that first period of the transfer portal. Yeah, the GOAT retires. What do you want me to do here? What do you want me to do? You want me to just, keep 30-plus guys on our roster? How am I supposed to do that? They came here for Nick Saban. Doesn't matter what kind of pitch I make to them. They're leaving. I'm not saying that's the case for every single one of those guys, but I do think the majority are leaving Alabama or left Alabama because of Nick Saban. So that's the unfortunate reality that I think a lot of it you can't necessarily pin on Kalen DeBoer. Can't control that. But what you can control is how you attack the portal in that post-spring window. So it'll be a lot of heavy evaluation within that staff of what you have on your roster during spring practice, and whatever you don't feel incredible about, whatever you don't think is as good as it could be, you go to the portal and you bring them in droves. That's what I think he has to do. Because with what they have on their roster right now, I think they can be good. Have they maximized their potential based on who could be in the portal? I don't believe that. I think the portal exodus that hurt Alabama, you need to go and refill some of those spots, at least from a depth perspective, in that post-spring window. So that's the immediate action we want to see them make. Sanders not changing in Tuscaloosa. That script day, man, as long as Nick Saban, as long as he was there, it meant something. But even with him not being there, it still means something. Like those folks, they're not going to settle for a 9-win season and say, oh, it's okay, it's first year. No, like most places you get a first-year grace period, not when Nick Saban was your head coach. I don't think that grace period necessarily applies. Now, I'm not saying they're going to have some sort of a hot seat conversation if he wins 9 games or 8 games in his first year. That's not what I'm saying. But I just think from a approval rating from that fan base, they expect filet mignon for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So from Kalen DeBoer and that post-spring window, let's go get some ingredients to make filet mignon. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.